It's another episode of the Peak Signing Agents podcast where me, your host, DVO Derek Van Otten, is helping you become the best notary and signing agent you can be. And if you haven't followed me on social media yet, we are at Peak Signing. So you can find me on all social media platforms right there. And you can find me on all podcast platforms and YouTube. So if you haven't followed me on all of those, please do so and leave a review or rating. That's the best way to help notaries know about us, because we'll go to the top of the list for notary podcasts. And I want to help as many notaries as I can to do the best job that they can. And I want to share a story this episode because I, as a signing service, had to pay a title company. I know, weird, right? They usually are paying me and I had to pay them. And so I thought this is a good reminder of why I had to pay them of an episode. And I want to talk about staying in our lanes. What is our lane? What is our job? What is our role? And I just want to, just as a reminder, I'll tell the story of what happened. This is a story time. But anyway, it's just a reminder to stay in our lanes. We are the notaries. We are the signing agents. We are not the mortgage officer, title escrow officer, attorney, real estate agent. We shouldn't be asking any questions pertaining to those. They should reach out to their individual agent. Real estate, mortgage, title, attorney. They should reach out to them if they have specific questions. We can help maybe with general questions, but not specific questions. So what happened is one of my clients, they are in another state, and we had to find a notary. The notary, we got hired, they went out and did the job. This property was in a trust. And the trust listed the individual's name on the deed or the mortgage, where it said John and Jane Doe as trustees of the Doe Trust, for example. And they didn't want their name there. So they were asking questions to the notary. The notary said, well, let's call the title company. And they did. So we didn't hear any updates for a while. We were reaching out to the notary, like, hey, everything going okay? We haven't heard any updates. Is there any questions we can help with? And he answered. They actually had a lot of questions. We talked to the title company. They got everything answered. We're finished. We're all good. We're like, okay, wonderful. We let title know, hey, they're all finished. Apparently they had some questions and they reached out to you, and hopefully everything got answered. And they responded to the title company. My client said, yep, we talked. We got everything. About 2 weeks later, I get an email from the title company saying, well, the borrowers are saying, one of the questions they had was they didn't want their names, right? They just wanted the trust name. And title had to explain to them why their name had to be there. I don't know all the ins and out. It's not my lane to know. So I'm not going to worry about it. Title explained to them why it is what it is, why it is what it is. I'm going to leave it at that. It's not my lane to get into it. I stay in my lane. So the borrowers were then saying, well, the notary said that you can make those changes later. So Tal said, the notary said that? Let me reach out to Derek and his team about that. So they reached out to me. And I look at my emails. It's been a couple weeks, right? We've done 100 closings since then. I'm like, I don't remember this one. So I'm looking at the past email thread. I'm like, okay, I talked to the notary. I'm like, okay, I see the picture of the notary. I'm like, okay, I remember this conversation now. I talked to the notary. He's like, they did have a lot of questions. I did not tell them that the title can make changes. I told them if you have questions, call title. And we did talk to title. We did call title, and they did speak to title. So I said, okay, I remember this now. So I sent back the email back to my client. I said, talk to the notary. The notary did not tell them that. The notary said that they had a lot of questions, and the notary told them to call you, and they did call you and talk to you over the phone. Title said, yes, I remember this. We did talk. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, taken care of. Well, this week, this is now 2 months later. 2 months later, title reaches out and says, hey, Derek, please see the following from our corporate. And and then below it's a copy and paste from an email from the corporate office, or a forward from the corporate office. And it said, please reach out to Peak Signing and tell them to pay us $38 for the recording fee because their notary told them something they shouldn't have. In fact, the notary should never have answered this question. The notary should have directed them to call our office. I was mad. I was not happy about this email. Now, it's only $38. Is it going to break me? No. But it's the principle behind it. And I stand behind my notaries. I stand with my clients and I stand with my notaries. Okay, I believe it's important that we do that. I'm like the middle person. I'm the bonding force between the title companies and the notaries to make sure everything's done properly. So I was not happy about this because already these people were a pain in the butt to the notary. It took up 2 hours of the notary's time. Then they made an accusation. The notary said, nope, I did call. I did not make any answers or any specifications. The notary did everything right, by the way. So I responded and say, I'm cutting you a check right now and I'll drop it in the mail. But I want to respectfully disagree with this. I disagree with this whole situation. The email says that the notary said something wrong. They did not. The email said that they should never have answered this question. The notary did not answer. The email says that the notary should direct any questions to the title company. The notary did. The bar was called you multiple times during the appointment. You answered their questions. The notary didn't have to say anything else. Our notaries are not allowed to say anything else besides stay in their lane of questions, point out what they see on the paperwork, not answer these type of questions. So I just want you to know I am respectfully disagreeing with this, but I will cut the check because it's $38. I'm not going to sweat it, but I am going to dispute it. I am going to let them know that I am not happy about it. So again, it was my escrow officer. She forwarded an email from corporate, and I just read that and I responded to her. And she said, I know, Derek, I sent them a lengthy letter to my corporate office about this situation, but corporate believes the customer is always right. So since the customer said the notary said that, they're going to go off of that. They're doing whatever they have to do to record, and there was an extra fee to record with the county of $38. Fine. You know what? That tells me that my escrow officer is on my side as well. But she's also on her company's side, right? And I get that. And I don't blame her. And it's okay that I'm upset about it. I'm over it. But I got 2 orders from them this week about it. You know, or two new orders this week. Hey, I got 2 new orders for you. Please get them filled for us. Because I made it clear that I was not happy with this. And in fact, I was okay to lose the client. Sometimes, I'm just giving you a message here. Sometimes it doesn't work out with your clients. You want as many clients as you can get, right? I get that. I'm there. I want to get as many clients as I can get. But sometimes we're just not good fits for each other. And I was okay to lose this client. I was okay. I'm like, you know what? If you guys are going to be like this, I'm okay if we don't do business anymore. Now, if it was a client that we did, multiple orders a week for, hey, sure, you know what? We can make things work out. But when we do 1 order a month for this client, you know what? I don't have to deal with it's not the first issue we've had to deal with. So I'm just saying on this episode also, besides stay in your lane, only answer questions that we can answer, that we can point physically on the paperwork. Say, here, what's my interest rate? It's right here. What's my balance again? It's right here. What's the payoff of the mortgage again? Oh, it's right here. We can do that, right? We can point out the answers on the paperwork. But if they're like, hey, I want to re-record this deed. How do I do that? You know what? Let's call the title company. Hey, my lender said I was going to get this much credit. I got this much credit. Let's call your lender. My real estate agent said that we were supposed to get this much in credits, but we're not getting this much in credits. Hey, let's call your real estate agent. Right? Know your lane. We can point out specifics. Right on the paperwork. We can just point out what's on the paperwork. Any fundamental type of question about real estate, hey, we can maybe answer something that's widely known in the real estate community. Like, when can I pay this off? Oh, there's no prepayment penalties right here on your closing disclosure. Right? We can point out the things. But if anything's specific, hey, let's call the right person. There's a title question, a mortgage question, a real estate question. Who's real estate agent question? Who's this for? Who's this question really for? But sometimes it's not worth it. I had a friend of mine, Calvin, out in Florida. He did a social media post where he was like, you know what? We'll help you find notaries. But if you only come to us once in a while, and it's because it's in a rural area, because you can't get anyone else, you can't, whatever you've been doing, and now you can't find someone, so now you come to me, I don't want your business. And I agree with that. You know what? If you're just coming to me for the hard stuff, I don't care if you're business. I want you to come to me for all notary requests. So in this example, sometimes it's just better to let customers go, and I was okay with that. Obviously, they were on my side. They did the best they could, and corporate just had their own ideas of what should go on with this. They believe in that old school theory of the customer's always right. I don't believe in that. I'm not the type that believes in the customer's always right. I believe what's right is right. That's just me. I believe what's right is right, not the customer's always right. Customers are wrong. Hence why there's a whole term called a Karen. And if your name's Karen and you're awesome, I feel bad for you, because I know some amazing Karens, and I feel so bad that that's just a term now that's used. But that is a term that is used, and there's a reason for it. It's because people are wrong sometimes. So I don't believe in that theory that the customer is always right. I get that they want to make their customer happy, so I get that too, though. I'm a business owner. I get it. I can see all sides. I always said I'd be a good judge because I can see everyone's side of things. I can see it. But I was willing to lose that customer that day, but I didn't. They hired me for 2 orders just this week, and I'm happy to do it. I'm very happy to do it for them. I like them as individuals. Just don't know if I like their business practice. We'll see how that relationship goes. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I understand it, and I'm glad that they're still my customer, because they are amazing people, and I believe most people are amazing. But it happens sometimes. And so I had to pay the title company. Not a big deal. I did it. I wanted them to be happy. I wanted to have peace. I don't want stress. I don't want to fight about it. No, there's no need for that. It's $38. I'll do it. It's not a problem. But I just thought it's a good reminder to all of us as notaries and signers to stay in our lane. Just answer questions that we can just point on the paperwork. Anything else, reach out to the right person. And you should kind of know the right person. It's part of the job is to know who's part of which transaction, whose role is what. There's a role, right? There's a role for the real estate agent, the title company, the mortgage company, the inspector, the appraiser, the county recorder's office, and us, the notary and signing agents. There's roles for all of us, and we need to all stay in our lane. And sometimes because we feel like we're the ones sitting in front of them and we want to just be so helpful, provide great service, we want to answer all these questions. And you know what? Sometimes there's questions that are asked that are just not us. I just had questions asked to me just the other day. They were asking me questions. I don't know. They were asking me questions like, hey, so who's going to buy the mortgage? Then who do we make the payments to? What's the website look like? Can we add more to principal? I said, you know what? These are great questions that you should ask your mortgage officer. Now, I will say, generally speaking, most companies allow you to set up automatic payments and you can add more principal. But I'm not exactly sure with this mortgage company, so you should definitely ask your mortgage officer. I said, okay, great, no problem. They're okay with that. They just want to know who to ask, right? They're asking you, you're in front of them. If you don't have the answer, or you're not allowed to give the answer, you can tell them where they can direct that question to, and they're happy with that. For them, that's the answer. They ask you the question, that's the answer. You're probably going to want to call your loan officer for this. And if they've asked me multiple questions where I've had to say that, this will be another question for your loan officer. In fact, maybe pull out a piece of paper, or here's your copy. Maybe on the back, maybe you want to write these questions down and call your loan officer and ask them these questions when we're done. And they're like, oh, good idea. And they write down their questions. And when we're done, say, okay, don't forget to call your loan officer, get all your questions answered. Because sometimes it's not holding up the signing, so they can call their loan officer and ask them questions later. But if it's holding up the signing, hey, let's call the loan officer right away. Let's call them right now. Or let's call the title company. Whoever we need to call to get the ball rolling, let's do that. But if it's not delaying anything, hey, you can call and ask these questions later. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Hope this episode is a great reminder for you to just stay in your lane, answer questions that are just relevant to our role, to our job as notary and signing agents. And then just keep providing the best service you can because you're awesome. Don't forget that. Hope this helps, and I'll talk to you on another episode. Bye now.